From the start, I promised I'd tell you the facts. No fear, no favours. I'd let you decide what's right and what's wrong. I wouldn't keep from you the evidence you needed to decide for yourself. Now, you might think that was just spin. But today, we've seen how allergic many journalists and politicians are to doing the same. It started when Immigration Minister Peter Dutton said this last night to Paul Murray about the Greens policy to bring in 50,000 refugees every year.
For many people, they won't be numerate or literate in their own language, let alone English, and this is a difficulty. These people would be taking Australian jobs, there's no question about that, and for many of them that would be unemployed, they would languish in unemployment queues and on Medicare and the rest of it. So there would be a huge cost, and there's no sense in sugarcoating that.
The reaction to Dutton was depressingly familiar. It wasn't to check whether he was right, but to smear him as evil.
Mr Dutton didn't just insult refugees when he made those comments. He insulted the millions of migrants who've contributed to making this a truly great country.
The Greens also demanded Dutton be shut up for his terrible comments.
Well, they're vile, they're wrong, and what this does is exposes the Liberal Party's policy for being steeped in xenophobia than anything to do with people needing to be protected and looked after.
Same reaction in the media left. Here is the Sydney Morning Herald's Mark Kenny not checking the truth of Dutton's claims, just damning him as a scaremonger. And ABC presenter Fran Kelly also shot the messenger.
They won't be numerate or literate and they'll take Australian jobs. Is this turning nasty?
And the journalistic pack today flew at the Prime Minister's throat.
Given that statement that many of them are illiterate and can't speak English.
Mr Dutton also said that they will take Australian jobs. But you can see the wording does create fear.
Please. The Immigration Minister's comments on refugees.
Peter Dutton is an outstanding immigration minister.
You've got a minister engaging in what some are calling a xenophobic dialogue, which you haven't distanced yourself from today.
Well,
Is this the campaign you wanted to run?
Whether it was the Greens or Labor, Fairfax reporters or the ABC, there was near zero interest in the facts. Well, let us now check Dutton's statement bit.
For many people, they won't be numerate or literate in their own language, let alone English.
Hold it there. Now, a Department of Immigration survey actually did find 75% of refugees came with at least high school level education. But an Australian Institute of Family Studies survey 3 years ago found 3/4 of refugees could not speak English when they arrived. So Dutton's claim there, largely true. Let's go to the next one.
These people would be taking Australian jobs.
Well, that bit is obviously true. So, to the last claim.
For many of them that would be unemployed, they would languish in unemployment queues and on Medicare and the rest of it. So there would be a huge cost.
So, Dutton is right again. That Institute of Family Studies survey showed just 7% of refugees coming in 2013, and an Immigration Department survey in 2011 showed 85% of refugees were on Centrelink in their first 5 years here. 85%. That's costing us millions, probably billions. So, Peter Dutton is right. 3 out of 3. What's the argument? Well, there is only one excuse, and I don't think it's a great one, to keep these truths from you. It might make refugees feel unwelcome, and who would want that? But look at the price we have paid for politicians and journalists not facing such facts. In the 1970s, Malcolm Fraser, as Prime Minister, let in many Muslim refugees from the Lebanese civil war. Now, he ignored warnings from his own immigration department and ministers that many of these people did not have the skills or the cultural background to easily fit in. He just went right ahead. Well, we have seen the consequences, including very high levels of Middle Eastern gun crime and 11 jihadis of Lebanese background jailed here for terrorism offences. Now, this kind of denial continues to this day. Here is the ABC's Fran Kelly again.
As far as I know, and I could be wrong here, but I don't know of links of people who've come in as refugees and then committed terrorist offences.
In fact, the last 3 terrorist attacks in Australia were conducted by refugees or their children. And this week, police arrested the 18-year-old son of other refugees from Afghanistan and charged him with terrorism offences. Now, of course, he must be presumed innocent. Sure, you are entitled to conclude these costs are a small price to pay for saving refugees. But journalists and politicians are not entitled to keep from you the evidence you need to decide for yourself, one way or the other. I'll say it again. You deserve the truth. No fear, no favours.